Hello, everyone. So today we talked about water balance, and I want to make sure you've got a YouTube video on it in case you want to come back to it and listen a little bit about what exactly water balance is and does. So, water makes up a majority of your body weight and is involved in a lot of really important functions in your body. So, the main ones are flushing out waste, regulating your body temperature, and helping your brain focus. Or sorry, function. Okay, those are the three most important. Oh, if you want to click this link, this question at the top is a link. So if it's something you want to go check out more, go ahead. It's linked on your class slideshow. So you don't have to write all of this down, but hopefully you got a couple things out of this. So the kidneys are very important. The kidneys are the organ mainly involved in maintaining water balance in our body. So you need your kidneys to maintain your water balance in your body. They take out waste, get rid of things, and they need water to do that. Note that without food for a couple of weeks, we can survive. Depends who you are, but most people can survive for a little while without food. But without water, most people can't survive for more than 3 days. So many people would not survive like 1 or 2 days. A few people could make it maybe 3. But knowing that water is super important to the functioning of our body. If we're made up of 60% water, 60 to 70% water, and we don't have it for a couple of days, then we don't have all the things that we need to keep ourselves alive. So water is very important in assisting to get rid of waste from the body. So along with the kidneys, kidneys use water to get rid of these waste products from our body. Okay, and the kidney is part of the excretory system. So the system in our body that gets rid of what we don't need. So I encourage you to go to the class slideshow and watch this video. It is covering pretty much everything that you need to know for this body system. It talks about what dehydration is. It talks about the functions of water in our body. So it's pretty important. And then we talked a bit about plasma sodium levels. So plasma sodium is the amount of sodium in your blood. We notice here that our runner 0358, has a pretty, it looks lower than other people's. And if you remember, we went and did a 10-minute research on our, each of you went and did it on your own. We came up with the number for the normal levels between 135 and 145. So these three runners have a normal plasma sodium level, but our runner has a lower than normal plasma sodium level. So it's something to note as we go forward. So plasma sodium is the amount of salt or sodium in your blood. So I'll talk a little bit more later about what happens if it's too high or too low. And then you also on the Padlet put how do we know when to drink water and can we drink too much water? So you can check out the Padlet that your classmates, everyone had some really great answers about how your body indicates to you that you need water. There's a couple of different things. And then if we can drink too much water. I want you to know the word osmoregulation or osmoregulate is the verb. If you think about what this word looks like and what it sounds like, it has two words that we've talked about before that you know from before. So osmo is the same root as osmosis. Remember, water going in and out of cells in and out of somewhere through a semi-permeable membrane. And regulate means to regulate, to keep something the same or to keep it even. So what I really want you to know from this is highlighted down here. If the water concentration is too high outside of the cell, remember we call it hypotonic, then water enters the cell by osmosis. If too much water enters, the cell will burst. So when you go watch that other video that's linked, this one, it talks about that our cells have some leeway, some flexibility to gain some extra water and to swell, but in our brain that is not as true. Sorry, something can't be a level of true. It is not true for the brain cells. So our brain cells have a much smaller flexibility in terms of size and how much they can swell than the cells in the rest of our body. Okay, all of our cells, weird things start to happen when they have too much water inside of them, but especially for the brain. So if you start thinking about that and what happened with the marathon runner, then maybe some of the solution, the answer to the problem could start coming to you, right? If her brain cells are overwhelmed by water, right? Let's say we're assuming she drank a bunch of water on the run. She's out there for 6.5 hours. Remember that? We've got 6.5 hours. She maybe has eaten something because her blood glucose level is okay, but maybe she's drank too much water to the point where her brain cells are swelled as much as they can be. Maybe that's what happened. And something else to note in terms of balancing the amount of water is electrolytes. So, like I was saying, this is not a Pedialyte commercial, but I liked this image because it was clear and informative. But Pedialyte and Gatorade and Powerade and Propel, and there's a bunch of different sports drinks that have these different electrolytes in them. So we have sodium, which is Na, we have potassium, which is K, and we have chloride, which is Cl. And those are all substances that our body needs to do these three functions on the right here. They help balance fluids in your body, they maintain your blood's proper pH, and they carry electrical signals to power your nerves and muscles. So if those are the functions, and our runner has an imbalance of water to electrolytes in her body, we can assume that these functions aren't happening correctly. So without those electrolytes, without a high enough level of electrolytes, her fluids are not balanced, right? Her pH in her blood is not maintained, so it's not a proper pH in her blood, which can have all sorts of effects. And the electrical signals powering her nerves and muscles aren't being sent correctly, aren't being received correctly because of the imbalance with water. So know what electrolytes are and know some of the functions of them. So then I asked you if you had to pick one of these conditions for the runner, do you think she had hyponatremia or hypernatremia? So we read through it a little bit and people in the chat wrote what they thought. And we decided that hyponatremia is what the runner was suffering from. It's a low sodium concentration in the blood. So she was drinking so much water that the sodium content inside of her cells, inside of her blood cells, was higher. So the water was going into there to try to balance it. But then those cells were swelling and causing hyponatremia. So it's a low sodium concentration in the blood. It's generally defined as sodium concentration less than 135. So we know that the symptoms here, she had some severe symptoms, some regular symptoms. She had a coma. She was confused. I believe that's one of the things we talked about. And poor balance was the other part. Okay. So that's how we know that she was suffering from hyponatremia. So pat yourself on the back, give yourself a high five. We figured it out what happened to her. She had hyponatremia. She drank too much water during the race. All right. Thank you.